For years, I've seen the same criticism being thrown around about Sonic games. About how the games discourage you from going fast and how they plop enemies and obstacles out of nowhere in front of you without warning. I understand where this comes from because, yeah, Sonic games do that a lot. You're thrown into a level with no knowledge of the layout, you aren't told where to look out for special stages or where items will be, you have no warning system for when an enemy is about to attack or jump in front of you, you have to stop and jump over obstacles really slowly, and anytime you try to go fast, you end up running into something you had no way of seeing and losing all of your rings of momentum. It's annoying and frustrating at first. As a kid, I never really played Sonic games, but I had a few. I had the PS2 version of Unleashed, which is considered by many to be the worst version of the game, because it's basically just a visual novel with some Sonic gameplay, and look, I love me some visual novels. I am literally looking at an Ace Attorney shrine right next to my desk. But this was too much dialogue for an 8-year-old. I had Shadow the Hedgehog, a game I found very janky, but enjoyed said jank with my brother in 2-player mode, running around shooting each other as cute little anthropomorphic animals with realistic firearms. And we had Sonic Gem Collection, where I only really played Sonic R, a game I will say I hated at the time with a passion, and also was somehow always in the game section of Lollipop's Playland when I was little. I fucked with the soundtrack though. Okay, 8-year-old me knew even then that this soundtrack fucking rules. I also played a bit of Sonic Fighters, a game I thought was okay, and would only really play when me and my brother were bored of our other PS2 games and we had time to kill. And one of us would go, hey, put on Sonic Fighters, we haven't played that in a while. And then we would play it for like 10 minutes and go back to playing like Lego Batman for the 80th time. I don't really have a lot of nostalgia for these games, and the shows didn't really play when I was young. Except those odd few years in the early 2010s when Foxtel suddenly had Kids Go, and all they would play were reruns of old weird video game shows, which introduced me to such amazing shows as Sonic Underground, Donkey Kong Country, and Captain N. Here's where I rank them from worst to best. Okay, Underground's theme song fucks, but DK had more goofy, janky fun, so I'll put it probably above that. Captain N was just kind of... Around my teens, I started going on YouTube pretty much every day of the week, which is normal now, but you know, this is early 2010s. Almost every morning, I would sit down an hour before class would start at school with my iPad in front of me and watch the newest uploads from my favorite YouTube channels. A little bit of Markiplier, a little bit of Jacksepticeye, dabbled with some Tested, and on top of those, a channel that is pretty infamous in the Sonic community nowadays, Game Grumps. And like every impressionable teenager, the opinions of those I would watch on games I had never played would rub off on me. And I was one of those people that would go around repeating what I'd hear Aaron say. Pause. Also, I'd like to note, I know a lot of people hold these opinions against Aaron and blame him for the shit that every Sonic fan got through in the 2010s. But I don't know, man, Aaron played the games and didn't like them. I'm also blame the people who would just repeat what he said without even playing the games and making up their own opinions. So me. That was me. That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I would hold these opinions for maybe 3 or 4 years, with each Sonic playthrough on the channel just kind of cementing this idea in my head. But then, something happened 7 years ago. It's 2017 and bam, the Nintendo Switch is on the market. And my brother manages to snag one as a B-Day present. Even though it was his, we would share the console back and forth, with myself taking up a lot of hours wasting time in Breath of the Wild. Then one day, my brother decided to buy Sonic Mania. And as he would play, I would just be an annoying as fuck backseater, spitting out the same regurgitated takes I've heard about Sonic games before. Every time he would be hit by something out of nowhere, I would complain. Oh, that's so unfair, they just shove shit in front of you without warning. It's like they don't even want you to go fast. Every time he had to slow down for a platform. See, why do you have to slow down to do these? It completely stops you in your tracks. Complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint, I would hurl at the game. And he would keep playing. He would keep telling me, why don't you just give it a try? It's more fun than you think. I would usually decline, thinking I would get nothing from it, though likely because I didn't want to be proven wrong. But after I watched him for so long, I saw him get better at it. Get hit less, speed by enemies faster, lose less rings. I decided to give it a go, and again, in came the complaints from me. Look, okay, I am a very annoying older brother, I admit it. I am insufferable. The enemies come out of nowhere. I have no idea where I'm going. I keep being slowed down. I would play and complain, and play and complain, and play and complain, and play and complain, and play and play. And I kept playing. I would lose and start again, and lose and start again, and lose, but each time I was getting better. I was remembering the surprises, I could time my jumps with the platforms. I mapped out the level in my head, and each time I played the level, I would beat it a little bit faster than the last. And then with more rings. And then faster with more rings. And I realized that I actually really liked this game. No, not only that, I fell in love with the game. Sure, before I was playing the Switch a lot for Breath of the Wild, but now you couldn't get the damn thing off me. Every day I would come back from school and load up the game to play a level. And when I beat the game eventually, I started from the beginning and played it all over again. With that game, I realized two things. One, I need to stop having strong opinions on games I've never even played. Like, I was basically just talking straight out of my ass before I played the game. And two, I might be a little bit obsessed with Sonic. Then why did I like it? What changed my mind on the game? I hated it at first. It was so insufferable to keep losing over and over. But I kept getting back up and playing. The issues I had about the games is stuff I heard from everywhere. From people like me who were just repeating what others have said, but also from people who have played the games. Why did I enjoy it when they didn't? I think it has to do with how I eventually approached the game. When you play your typical modern platformer like Mario, you start the first level and you get it. Pretty much instantly you get how to play, what the controls are, what obstacles look like. And slowly the game will get harder and throw things at you that you prepared for. If I were to make a diagram of difficulty, it would be like a hill that starts low and slowly arches upward. You don't expect to die a lot at first. You might not even expect to die at all. Even outside of platformers, a lot of games have very easy starting levels and slowly get more difficult. That is not how a lot of Sonic games, especially classic or early 3D Sonic games, are designed. Sonic games are more like fighting games. In fighting games, you can't just pick up the controller and instantly get the game controls. You have to work at it. The first game you play, even against an AI, you will lose. You will lose again, and again, and again, and again, but with each loss, you learn a little bit more. Either about your opponent or the controls. You lose, and you lose, and you lose, and then you get one KOing. And then you lose again. But you got better, you managed to get one knockout. So you play again, and you lose, but you put up way more of a fight. Again, and again, and again, you're getting better, it's getting easier, and eventually, you win. It gets easier to win. You're KOing faster. You know all the ins and outs of your characters and the character you're against. Like any skill, be it drawing, music, sport, you will not be good on the first try. But you have to dust yourself off and try again. That is Sonic. Those extra lives and checkpoints aren't just there in case you need them. You will need them. You'll hit an enemy and die, or you'll take too long underwater and drown, or land where there's no edge and fall. But each time you play, you learn. Until playing the game feels so natural to you. You know where all the jumps are and random enemies and surprise attacks, and you can whiz past them like the speed demon you are. Until eventually, you're not just playing Sonic, you are Sonic. And this gameplay even fits with Sonic's character. He's someone that keeps moving forward, never letting a defeat define him. Picks himself up, dusts himself off, and keeps running. You could say the games teach you to Sonic and a lot of 80s home console games take heavily from arcade games. Hell, some would just port it over arcade games. You cannot beat an arcade game the first time you play it. It's designed so that you will lose eventually, which means you're going to have to fork over more coins. But each time you lose, you get a higher score than you did before, and it encourages you to play again, and rank yourself against your friends. A lot of complaints I hear towards Sonic games are similar complaints you hear towards a lot of arcade-inspired games. Cuphead, Mega Man, Street Fighter, even Dark Souls to an extent. People don't go into these games on the game's terms, they play them on the terms they're used to or on their own terms. And they quit early before learning anything and getting better at the game. I've heard some people even go as far to say that Sonic games were never good to begin with, which, makes zero sense. Why would they make 4 of these games for the Genesis if they were bad, if no one would play them? Kids back then kind of understood the arcade-inspired design of Sonic. They'd probably only have a handful of games on their home consoles, so they'd be replaying games a lot. And most were designed to be heavily replayable, even the original Super Mario game. They'd give you a score at the end of every level to entice you to come back and get better. As time went on, a lot of these games got rid of this score system and got a lot less difficult. You don't really see your time or score now at the end of Mario games anymore, but Sonic never got rid of them. Throughout the franchise, from 2D to 3D, the score and rank stayed to encourage you to give it another chance and try again. Look, I get it. The controls for a lot of Sonic games aren't perfect. When I first picked up SA2, I almost instantly put it down. I hated it. But I kept playing. I would still have my issues and frustrations. Fuck the mech levels. Christ on a bike. Why get rid of the fun Tails levels from Adventure 1? Come on, what up? But after a few levels, I decided to go back and replay the first level, City Escape. The level I find myself having such a hard time with at first. And just like Sonic Mania, on second play, the level was so much easier and the controls were an afterthought. I played through the level with some difficulty, but nowhere near the struggle I had before. Gliding down rails, smashing into gun robots, racing down the street, I was actually having a lot of fun. Is Sonic Adventure 2 perfect? God no! Whoever thought making artificial chaos is that difficult is on my hit list. But if you give it some time to get a hold of the controls and design, it's a lot of fun and super addictive. This is the case for almost every Sonic game. When you first play them, you get frustrated and annoyed, but just give it some time, practice, and you'll find yourself having so much fun sooner than you think. Maybe this video has just been me rambling on about the same point for too long, but I really do think a lot of people out there are like a younger version of me, missing out on some super fun experiences because they kept coming to these games with their mind made up that they're bad, or thinking it would play like a lot of other platformers. But Sonic isn't like a lot of other platformers. Sonic is Sonic. If you'd like to help out the channel, make sure to give this video a like if you liked it, or a dislike if you disliked it. I don't really mind. Or hell, drop a comment and tell me if you agree or disagree with me. And if you'd really like to help the channel out, consider becoming a member. Memberships only cost like $1.50 Australian a month, or around $1 a month US. And with a membership, I'll check your name at the end of the videos. Alright, that's all I gotta say. Have a good one.